Thank you. By the authority bestowed upon me under the St. Mary's University Act, I do hereby confer on you, Stan Hartling, the degree of Doctor of Commerce, honoris causa.
I am pleased to call upon Bafana Masingeza to present an alumni pin to our honorary graduate. Congratulations, Dr. Hartling, and with great pleasure, I invite you to address convocation.
Thank you. Wow, that's all I can say, huh? Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, platform guests, family members, friends, and graduates, and thank you, Eligio, for being such a great friend and saying the great things you did. I'd like to start with a little energy, maybe. Let's look at this day and see where we're standing right now and how everybody, what had to come in and what had to be put in by the graduates, the parents, everybody here supporting each other, and what a magical moment to the faculty, what they've done. Let's really start with a big round of applause for ourselves and everybody. Woo! So, good morning and congratulations. I guess it's okay to say fellow graduates because I feel like I've just gone through it again myself in an amazing way. And I struggled, I have to say, to think what I could say in about 10 minutes to a room full of bright new graduates that would actually have some significance for them during this speech. How could I condense some helpful insight about what helped me gain success from the moment I was sitting in that chair to the moment I'm standing here now? It became apparent as I tried to recall some secret sauce or event, but it wasn't about one moment, one deal, one round of luck. It was about repeating and being true to some very simple procedures again and again and again, and a lot simpler than you think. So the good news is that your success, no matter how you define it, can be made immensely more probable and much more simple with some simple concepts. The less exciting part of that is that it's things you've probably already heard. However, before you boo me, it's been apparent to me many times over my life that I had great advice, but I dismissed it because I thought it was too simple. Then one day something happens that makes it sink in a way that it never did before. I call it the stove is hot moment. When my son, older son Sam, who's I think watching at home, he couldn't come. Hi Sam, in case you can see me. When he was a toddler, we had a wood stove in our cottage. And every day I would tell him, Sam, that stove is hot, don't touch it. And he'd look at me sort of like, yeah, Dad, I know. Anyway, one day I eventually got the call that he had touched the stove and burned his hand. I could see in his eyes after that, every time I said the stove is hot, he had a whole new understanding of it. It had a whole new relevance to him. And that's where I'm catching you today. I hope I'm catching you in a stove is hot moment in your life, where you're very aware and you're willing to listen to a little bit of simple advice and be guided in a good way. Success is not as complicated as we need it to be. We all think it's going to be some little win that happens, and it's really a series of events, and many of them mistakes that lead to good things. So here's a few words of advice, and I will try to be brief. But these are really what truly I came up with when I thought about the last 30-odd years since I was sitting in your seat. Number one, in a way, constantly tell people what you want to achieve. So many times I hear people or see people that want to do something and they don't tell anybody. People can't read your mind, but they will envision you differently when you tell them what you want to be. If you tell me that you want to be a real estate developer, I now see you as a real estate developer. You know, you want to be a retailer, I see you as a retailer. You want to own, you know, any other business. So my own examples of this, I can tell you when I was in the CA program, I wanted to then transcend into entrepreneurship. I told everybody that would listen. Finally, there was a client, a VP in a shipyard, who heard me and we got along well, and he introduced me to my partners. He says, I got a guy that's anxious to be in business and I want to introduce you guys. You've got to tell people what it is you're dreaming in your head. Make your leadership in the future about goals, not about you, not about your ego, and not about your authority. If you're leading that way, you're not leading. If you do this, the goal itself becomes the target for your team, not you. They're not going to challenge your authority because your authority is really around the goal, and I really encourage you to keep that in your mind. Don't be afraid to do what you like most. I know you've heard that before, but most people do something that they're third and fourth best at, not the thing, because they don't think they're able to, or it just doesn't seem realistic to do what you like. It took me about 10 years to leave from being a dishwasher, well, longer than that, 15 to 20, from a dishwasher to being eventually owner of hotels. And I can tell you it was a long journey, but I did have the sights of having my own business very early, and I use all of those little things as a roadmap to get there. Next, learn something from everything you do, and do it well. I don't care how small the job is, how ridiculous it seems. I shake my head when I hear someone say, the reason I'm not trying is because this isn't what I want to do yet. You are judged every day by how you do something, no matter how small and meaningful or small the task is. I've been a musician, a clown at a Sunday brunch, a dishwasher, a cook, an executive sous chef, a chartered accounting student, and then finally an entrepreneur. And I can tell you, every one of those weird dots are connected somehow. Being energetic, hardworking at each of those tasks, no matter how small they were, is what led me up to the next step. The fastest way out of a low role is to prove that you are worthy of a higher one. Don't ever waste your day, your time going, I'm just passing time. This isn't what I really want to do. Be great at it, because it will lead to something a lot better. I can assure you that. Next, place yourself in an environment that lets you practice your dream or your vision. If you want a great body, you need a place to exercise where it's encouraged. You don't stand in a shopping mall and do push-ups. You go somewhere where it's encouraged to work out. You feel good about working out. You don't apologize for working out. If you want success, get into an environment that lets you practice what you want to achieve. Even if there's a sacrifice to it, use it as a direction to where you want to go. Because as an example, trying to be an entrepreneur, you can't be working somewhere clerically 9 to 5, and then wonder why you didn't gain anything today in the entrepreneurial world. Whatever you got to do to get in front of, if that's your dream, get in front of those people. If it's some other form of profession, do what you got to do. Even if it's volunteering, even if it's charity work where you get in front of a lot of people like that, get in front of people, talk, tell them what you want to do. I left a job as an executive sous chef when I graduated, and I took a 40% cut in pay to join a CA firm. And not because I wanted to be an accountant long term, but it got me into a boardroom and exposed me to entrepreneurs when I had zero business connections, zero. So I needed to solve that problem. My family was amazing with me, but we didn't have business contacts. I needed to solve that problem. Use your path to solve the problem of where you want to go. Give first, get later. Give first, get later. So many times I see people coming into our business and they say, well, if you pay me, I'll show you what I can do. No, the other way around. Show us what you can do. I'll give you a real quick story on this one. I love it because it's one of my first stories. I learned it at 15 years old. I was a dishwasher, and I was sitting there in the morning scraping eggs off, and all the nice waitresses would come in and go talk to the cooks, and I thought, I got to get out of here. I got to get moved over there. So I went to this German chef, and I said, can I become a cook? And he laughed at me, and he said, look, there's people that have worked where you're working for 2 years, and we've just not been able to move them up. So I left, and I thought about it, and I came back. I said, I got a deal for you. I'll work 2 weeks for free as a cook. And if I'm any good, you'll give me the job. He couldn't believe it. 2 weeks later, where was I? Talking to the waitresses. So, but even if I wouldn't have got that, I learned something in those 2 weeks that I wouldn't have learned standing there scraping eggs. So give something. Go ahead, give. It's going to do you well. And one of the other big ones, as I wind down, is you are the sum of the friends and associates around you. You are the sum of the friends and associates around you. Don't expect to be vastly different than that group of people. It's not going to happen. Don't think I'm going to hang out with unmotivated people, bad people, and I'm going to be a good guy. You won't be perceived that way. You won't develop your own habits that way. Good people, as I always say to my team, find good people. I'll tell you, when I came to St. Mary's, and I was very glad to be accepted here, I was a very different person than you're looking at right now. We had a little laugh at my student ID the other day. But I would have been not voted most likely to succeed, but instead least likely to even survive. And that's the truth. I drove my motorbike all winter. But St. Mary's transformed me in many ways, not just because of the courses, but because of the new people it allowed me to surround myself with when I decided to be a new me. And, you know, it's amazing the impact that that had, just being out of a different friend group. You know, I can only hope that you're blessed with the family, the friends, the team, and supports that you have and that like I have. I'm deeply thankful for my partner, Joan, and my two boys, Sam. My son, Ben, is up here on stage. He's also a graduate, and he didn't get to walk because of 2020, so this is a pretty big honor having him up here with me. And of course, it would be a quiet drive home if I don't mention my mother. and also my dad when he was alive, and my sisters here and everybody. So, but I have to say, you know, make those people part of your dream, make them part of your support system. It's amazing. See risk and fear as your friends, not your enemies. So many people don't do stuff because they're thinking, oh my God, I'm just so afraid I'm out of my comfort zone. And valedictorian actually mentioned about coming out of your comfort zone. Please do, it's normal. Don't look at it as bad. It's what keeps other people out of doing what you're doing. And here's one, my last as I'm closing. There was an amazing professor that was here years ago that literally was one of the people that transformed me from this guy to that guy. And his name was David Hope. And I can remember plain as day, truly remember this almost verbatim, telling us on our last day of class that we needed to understand that our degree was simply another valuable tool that we were blessed to have in our kit. How we use it was now up to us. If we thought it was a ticket to entitlement, the second we stopped to stick our nose in the air, we would get passed by someone without that tool. And he was so right. I just welded that in my head when he said that. It's your determination that's going to determine your success. A straight A student sitting here among us right now, maybe that's complacent, may be very surprised where they're sitting next to the C student in a few years that has determination. So don't let your degree think that that's now your free ticket and ride. This is a start of your learning. I jokingly said to my friends when I wrote my last exam, anything I learned from here on in is totally by accident. And I was so wrong. I learned that was the start of the learning. So in closing, don't wish for a great day, make it a great day. And today you made it a great day. So congratulations, you guys. It's an honor to be here.